After 2 weekends in Charlotte, North Carolina, NASCAR comes to Dover, Delaware. The Monster Mile plays host to not one, but two, but three NASCAR races, Trackside Live, right in the middle of it. Glad you're with us here on Speed. Those crazy people, our friends, we say that affectionately, have been standing in the rain, but they are here. Big episode of Trackside Live. Tony Stewart and Mark Martin are with us, along with Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds, Steve Burns, and Darrell Waltrip. And glad you're with us, everybody. And as we said, really excited about this show, as we are for all of them, but Mark Martin and Tony Stewart.
It doesn't get much better
No,
than
sir.
that. That's some horsepower there.
Both of them, having great seasons. Tony's off to a great start this year for a change. And Mark with 2 wins, hadn't done that since '99, I think it was. And he likes Dover. He's got great numbers here. He didn't qualify very well. We'll get to the bottom of that when he shows up here and see what happens.
Guys, I'm getting kind of sad, Larry, Steve,
Jeff?
Darrell's last show. I'm going to be missing him.
Why do I feel like that? I mean, I don't feel the love.
We're very sincere. We're very
I'm
sincere
very
in saying
sincere
this.
about that because of the fact that, when you're on the show, you would not believe the number of people that will send me an email and say, Hammond, whatever you do, stay on top of that Waltrip guy. So it's like it's a little chess game we always play. I mean, I know I lose all the time, but it's still fun to play. And I just want to let you know, I think we've had a lot of fun this year.
Oh, yeah.
And tonight, let's go out in a blaze of glory. And you got to make us one promise.
What's that?
You'll come back sometime during the second half of the year.
Oh, no, I will do like Mark Smith. I will text you every Friday.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just hope you get it when I send it. No, I do watch. I watch you guys, and when I'm not here, and I do. I text Mark, and I think I've texted you guys a few times, and drop in a little hint here or there, But I keep an eye on you boys, and Elliot. I mean, this is my seat, but I'll let him use it for a little while.
Yeah. That's
And you know what? I know we got a guest, but from Trackside, we want to congratulate David Ruderman, Michael Waltrip Racing, and Rodney Childers. They all got their very first win together in one of the biggest races of the year, the Coca-Cola 600. And you know what? I don't want to hear all this bull crap about backing into it, and you shouldn't win a race if you don't lead a green flag lap. There were 13 other teams that had the same opportunity to do what that race team did, and they elected not to, and David Ruderman won the race.
Here, here. Well said. Everybody had the same opportunity. Well, let's open up the old Shell garage and welcome a good friend to Trackside Live. Mark Martin picked up wins 36 and 37 this season.
There. Come down there.
All right.
He wants you, baby. He wants you.
Get in here, big guy.
I believe our friends like you, too.
We got them fired up.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
do.
Yeah. So how's your day going?
I had a bad day.
I know what was up with the qualifying, man.
It was more than just the qualifying. It was every lap. Oh, no. You'll have to talk to Alan about it. I was at a loss for words. I just kept saying, that's all I can do right there. It's bouncing, really bouncing going into 3.
Yeah, you can see the back of the car looks real rigid.
Yeah, really bouncing into 3, going up the racetrack. Pretty good in 1 and 2. I thought, and the more we tried to fix that bouncing, the more we messed it up everywhere else. So it was just one of those days.
Mark, can you tell the difference in the racetrack? We were talking about, the same tire, and we noticed this tire is not really, getting down to the racetrack like it was before. Do you feel like does the track change? Has it gotten a little bit rougher maybe? Has it created some of the problem? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's major issues going into 3 that I haven't had. It's been rough going into 3 lately, but I didn't know that you could have as much trouble as what we had today, and I didn't know that I wouldn't be able to tell them, how to fix it. So, and I'll tell you, an hour and a half is a very short period of time when you're having problems.
It is.
Mark, I was so impressed with you and Alan Gustafson and that 5 team. I don't know if things could have went any worse than they went the first 4 races. You guys were fast, but you absolutely had no luck. You kind of had a pit miscue at Daytona, the engines at California and Las Vegas, and then the right rear tire at Atlanta. You guys were 34th in points. But you and Alan sat down and said, we don't need to change a thing. This will go away. And then you look at the last 8 races, 2 wins and 6 top 10s, up to the top 12 in points now.
I'm living a dream. You're so busy doing all this stuff, or I am, that I forget that I'm driving for Hendrick Motorsports. And when I walk through there and see all the fantastic people and all the support I have, and every time I strap in that race car, it's a rocket ship except for today. It's an incredible honor, and I forget that because I'm so competitive. But I've been blessed with great sponsors, great people behind me, and the fan support, a wonderful family. I really feel like I've got it all.
Mark talked
What do
about
y'all think?
Alan.
Mark's a pretty good guy, isn't he? Huh? Great driver. Win a lot of races.
Thank you, guys.
Mark talked about Alan. That's Alan Gustafson, his crew chief. Alan's going to join us. Let's take a look at who's on tonight. In addition to Mark and Alan Gustafson, Tony Stewart. That's your Advanced Auto Parts. Who's on tonight? Stay with us here on Speed from Dover, Delaware.
Trackside is presented by new Shell nitrogen-enriched gasolines and brought to you in part by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV.
Trackside Live, back at the Dover International Speedway. Just a little while, Tony Stewart will join us, but right now we're spending time with Mark Martin. And Mark, you mentioned Alan Gustafson in Daytona back in February. I asked Alan about working with you and getting to know you, and I said, are you intimidated at all by the fact that here's a guy that's raced over 700 times just at the Cup level? And he paid you a huge compliment, Mark. He said, you know what? He said, of all the drivers I've worked with, he said, he is the most open-minded. If we say we want to try something, Mark says, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want it to be fast. I don't care if it's got 3 springs or something flipped upside down or if it's
3
dragged.
springs,
It don't matter to me, man. I just want it to be fast. So, it's really, really cool. And I think Alan and I have come a long way in 12 races. We've learned a lot about one another really quickly.
He says 3 springs, and immediately he had a car that had
Had
3
an
springs.
ASA car like that, yeah.
Absolutely.
He had a car, he didn't have a right rear spring. He didn't want it, he didn't need it.
Didn't need it.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. Has everything that's gone on over at Hendrick Motorsports since Monday, has that been a distraction to all of you guys? Has that really affected coming here this weekend at all?
I understand you asking the question because it doesn't look good
Yeah,
today.
because everybody's-
all of us were off our game,
Yeah.
but it wasn't anything to do with that. It wasn't anything at all to do with that. We just, as a group, collectively didn't have this place wired. And my car has been wired everywhere. I have not, with exception of today, I have never strapped in that race car that I couldn't put it in the top 6 or 8 on the board. Just every time. It's been incredible. And, you get all puffed up and you just don't think it can happen.
Yeah.
And today I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could be this messed up. I don't even know how to tell you. It's bouncing. I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah.
So.
Mark, so much this week also a lot of attention given to the meeting that you guys had with NASCAR on Tuesday, and I read several quotes from you about the meeting. Positive?
It's positive that we're talking.
Yeah.
And, you know, NASCAR has listened before, but got out of the habit of it. It's good to get back in the habit of it. Whether they act on some of our ideas or not, you know, at least if they're listening, they think about it. You know, there are so many times when I've thought that NASCAR was wrong, and later on I figured out that they were right and I was wrong. So, you know, they're a great, great governing body with really brilliant people that make better decisions than I would if I was in charge. So I just want to say that. I think it's really great that they listen to everybody's ideas and that we maybe do that more often going forward.
Everybody, does that include Daryl's too?
Absolutely. They should listen to everybody.
No,
I don't know if they should act on everybody's.
and quite honestly, I've never had them call me up and ask me what I would do in any situation. Because, like Mark said, most of us, we sort of look at things from our perspective and how we would like to see things done. And we forget that there are 42 other people here that might be affected differently than you are.
Way,
so
yeah.
I think it's good that you get to say your piece, and this is how I feel about it. But the biggest thing is we all have to, we all have to have input in order to feel like that we are being listened to, and that some things that we have to say are important.
I think the most important thing that we talked about, it all revolves around really two things, two entities, our sponsors and our fans.
Yep.
And everything else needs to go along with giving them more bang for their buck. You know, everything, what we do with cars, what we do with drug policy, everything.
You know, Mark, you're back running a full schedule for the first time in a couple of years, so there were certainly some races that you did not run the new car in the year before and last year. And I think we all agree, we were talking at break, that this car is better, a lot better. Goodyear's come a long way with the tire. But I did hear that you were very vocal about this new car and saying, look, you've got to go one direction or the other. Either you got to take a ton of downforce out of it, or you got to give us a lot more. You got to get us out of this middle of the road we're on with this thing.
Well, actually, what I said was I don't think adding downforce is the right direction. So obviously, it's where we are and less, which would require working on the tires some more. But some of the guys think that 850 horsepower is too much horsepower. And then some of the others say, wait, I drove the Nationwide cars, and I hate that formula. So what I say, Daryl, is we probably need to back it down equally. We need to take some power out, and we need to take some handling out, which would be downforce off. We've got to be relying on the air. Everybody's car is the same speed.
Right.
And so we rely on the air so much. The more we can get away from relying on that, the better we can do impact.
Yeah, the two most, in my mind at least, the two things that are most aero dependent is a splitter and a wing. Those two things are aero dependent. They won't work without air. So in order to change that very much, you're going to have to make a lot of changes in the car. I like the Nationwide car. It looks to me like they took what's wrong with this car and fixed it all on the Nationwide car. The body is proportioned over the wheels better. It's got a rear blade on it, a spoiler on it instead of a wing. I've seen pictures of it. Talked to guys that have driven it. They say it is a great race car.
And we know the tightrope that NASCAR is walking, as Mike Helton told us last weekend. We are going to be so careful if we indeed look at making a change on this car that it's not going to be something that teams have to go spend millions of dollars to develop.
I'm a supporter of the race car in the form it is right now. I think our racing has been better this year than it was last year based on Goodyear's tires. And I think we should be very careful about what we do to that race car because it's good. You're not ever going to, when you've got 43 drivers that can drive to win, and you've got 43 cars out there that have access to the tools that could win a race, you're not going to see the kind of passing you saw 20 years ago because you didn't have that much competition.
0.7 of a second between the entire field, Steve. Can you believe that? That's how tight it is here at Dover.
I think the thing it's obvious, though, is that if you get out front with this car, adios, you're gone.
Right.
Check out.
Right.
And that seems to be across the board no matter where we race.
It does, but the thing you got to remember is it's only because everybody's car is the same speed, and that guy gets a bigger advantage now than he used to because everybody's cars weren't the same speed 10 and 20 years ago. So one of the things is you have to be careful about criticizing here is this is a monster that has been created by competition.
Yeah.
If we had some really slow cars out there, half the field was really slow, we wouldn't have the passing problems that we have today. But our passing problems are because all the cars are fast.
I told this before. Bill France told me one time, I was complaining about, you know, those guys win all the races, and he said, look, your job is to be one of those slow cars that those fast guys pass. Put you in your place right away, you know.
Hey, Daryl, they got a sign out there that says something about Billy Bad Butt, take a break.
Hey, take a break.
We'll have more with Mark Martin coming up and Alan Gustafson. Want to remind you to locate campgrounds near the Pocono Raceway. Visit GoRVing.com. You'll find virtual RV tours, a free DVD offer, and RV dealer and rental locations in your area. Trackside Live back at Dover, Delaware with Mark Martin. Now it's time to meet the crew chief of the Kellogg's CarQuest Chevrolet, the number 5 car, Alan Gustafson.
Boy, we'll get to the bottom of this now. Now what are you going to do?
There we go.
Hey, what I like right now, guys, is 1, 2, 3 crew chiefs against 2 drivers. I like it.
My man right there, buddy.
Step on up here and get in the mess right here. I'm telling you right now, they've been giving us a hard time.
Alan.
Yeah, no. If you have Mark Martin qualified 28th, you did a bad job.
I was going to say, what did you do to his car?
I'll take
Alan, he said it's messed up.
It is.
What about all this bouncing? What's
It's
this
bouncing.
bouncing?
He told me after qualifying, he says, I saw it bouncing down there in 3, and I says, it's a lot better. You should have seen it before.
The good news for me is where our truck is, I can't see 3, so I didn't know how bad it was until we qualified. But, no, we did a pretty bad job today. If you got Mark Martin 28th, you did a bad job. But we'll fix him up tomorrow.
I got news for you right now. Daryl tell me go down in that corner and watch what's going on there before I kill myself.
Yeah.
He's not one of those kind of guys that you say it's blowing up. And they'll say, are you sure?
Change ignitions.
It's the gauge.
Yeah.
We've got to be positive sometimes.
That's
you know?
exactly right.
Alan, you've kind of worked at both ends of the spectrum in your crew chief career. You spent 3 years working with the young. Kyle Busch had some success, made the chase 2 years, won 4 races. And now, I'm not going to say, you're working with the kid over here now, Mark Martin, and now you've won races with him.
Yeah, it's you know, I feel really fortunate to have worked with both those guys and everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. You know, that's a great opportunity. And Kyle, you know, the funny thing is about it is they're both so good, Kyle and Mark. If I didn't know Mark was 50 and I didn't know Kyle was 19 at the time, you'd had no idea. You know, you'd think they're both 25 because they're both so good, so fast. You know, Mark drives like he's 19. So
And you've worked with a driver they boo a lot, and you work with one they yay a lot.
I was wondering. Trying to figure out what's going on, and I looked over and saw. So
I see you and Kyle in the garage. Y'all get together quite often in the garage and look like you're just having a really good conversation, cutting up, having fun.
yeah, we do. You know, and we started out together. You know, we're both rookies and learned a lot together. And when you have that kind of relationship, it doesn't go away. And we still talk a lot, but there's nobody better than that man sitting next to you. And you know, he's the best out there. So it's great to have him in our car.
Sound like y'all have a lot of respect for each other.
Sir.
Absolutely. Alan, I'm going to kind of paraphrase the question that DW put to Mark. With the crew chief change on the 88, was that a distraction at all for the guys that are there every single day?
I mean, no. I mean, we can't blame our performance today on that by no means. We still have all the tools and all the time to do our job. But, you know, it's something that we don't want to have happen when you go into a venture like we did, and Tony was there and Dale was there. You know, the plans were to run good and win a championship, and I think everything was in place to do it. We know Dale's very capable. We know Tony's very capable. It wasn't working, you know. So, unfortunately, they had to make a change. It's never fun. It's never good. But we look forward to the future. We need to get that car up front, and you know, hopefully Lance can get that done and get Dale back where he belongs.
Fair enough. We'll have more with Mark Martin and Alan Gustafson a little bit later on. Tony Stewart joins us here on Trackside Live. Stay with us here on Speed.
Hey, welcome back to Trackside Live here at Dover. It's a little rainy, but don't worry because the stars still come out at night one of my favorite people in all of NASCAR. Tony Stewart is here with us. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I thought you were going to say the freaks come out at night.
No way. Well, we know that. If they let me on, that's stated.
Yeah, we know if you and I are here together, then that's the case.
A little bit of a different week, a little shorter for you, or longer.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of glad to get away from Charlotte, and we thought we were all going to get away from the weather, and then we come to Dover and we get rained on today. But I've heard tomorrow and Sunday are going to be awesome.
They are going to be awesome. And you know what? It was a pretty awesome weekend this past weekend, despite the rain. And I think first we got to take a look back at the Coke 600.
For the fans who were able to stick around for this afternoon, I think they're going to be rewarded with some high drama. There will be nobody who is going to show an excessive amount of patience. You've got to get to the front. You've got to go fast. We have to expect that perhaps this could be a rain-shortened race.
Let's just stay focused regardless of what happens here with the rain. It's a long race.
Radar's starting to look a little better, so it looks like we might be able to get this thing going at least.
We're getting set to turn them loose in the 50th running of the Coca-Cola 600.
And the green is out. Green, green, green.
Now Kyle Busch goes all the way to the apron, gets the car underneath Dumas.
Give it to Kyle Busch by a car length.
Clear. That was pretty decent. Apparently, I just need a titch more speed. 10-4.
Caution's out. Caution's out.
They're going to stop you on the front straightaway for a moment of silence.
All right, guys, put all your equipment down right now. It's Memorial Day respect right here.
This is a very stirring tribute to the United States Armed Services on Memorial Day.
The green flag is waving once again. Kyle Busch, as usual, setting a torrid pace.
Trying to catch race leader Kyle Busch. David Rudeman came off the corner and got into the wall.
He's freaking just plowing. I don't see no tire smoke, David. I don't think you hit it too hard. It's raining pretty hard in turn 2 there.
Except for what's down. Be careful there.
A couple of the drivers are reporting raindrops.
If we were on the green, the storm wouldn't be able to come in because of all of our air keeps it away. Yeah, cyclone effect.
Casey Kane visibly catching Kyle Busch.
Knowing that rain is in the area, ferociously trying to track him down.
Kyle Busch now, the car cocked sideways. He nearly spins it out.
What about Rex? Yeah, they'll wait till he passes me, then they'll throw it. Yeah, he's sliding around something fierce up there, bud. Caution's out. Wasn't even raining. Let us race. Yeah, probably not too bad yet, but I think they're afraid of what's coming. We pit. You know there's going to be somebody that stays.
You got to go for track position, I think, bud. Two tires.
They're all coming. What do you want to do? And I'd say we have to stay out right here. Bring it. We're going to have to do it.
Only one.
Be ready. Dig, all the way out.
David Rudeman did not come into pit. He stayed out on the track.
They're going to bring the cars onto pit road here because the rain has definitely picked up. It's finally official, and David Rudeman is the winner at the Lowe's Motor Speedway.
First career win for David Rudeman at the rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600, and we're with Alan Gustafson and Mark Martin. And Mark, I want to get back to something that you were asked about at the big meeting at the R&D Center, NASCAR's R&D Center on Tuesday, and I was told, and paraphrasing, that you spoke up and said, guys, I finished in the top 5 in one of my first races, and I was 2 laps down.
DW and Harry Gant raced at Martinsville for the win in Martinsville, and I was 2 laps down in 3rd place, and nobody complained about the race being boring.
but the point,
I sure didn't.
But Mark, was your point that the good old quote good old days are now?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm saying be careful about your expectations. You're not going to have a lot of passing if you've got 43 great race cars that are almost all the same speed. You know, and so you can't have unrealistic expectations. We have such great competitors in the field now that, you know, to have side-by-side racing is difficult. And we've had some good racing this year.
Mark kind of brought out, Alan, that you know, the question was kind of posed to NASCAR about, you know, can we get it to where these guys can work on the car and do some things? Would you like to see it? If you got things with this new car that you would like to be able to experiment with that might make it more driver friendly and make it easier for you not to have the day like you had today?
I think This car, the cars are so tight, so closely grouped together. You put a lot more on the Mark Martins of the world, the Jeff Gordons, the Jimmy Johnsons. I think that's why you see the success. They can drive around some of that stuff. I think if we had a few more tools to work on, you could get a little more of an advantage, or somebody else could get an advantage who doesn't have the Mark Martin talent. And you might see, I don't want to say better racing because I don't know if that's the term. You might see some different winners. It used to be with the old cars, some guys would hit on some things and get hot, win 2 or 3 races, guys you wouldn't expect to win week in, week out. I think that's kind of gone by the wayside because the cars are so close. You can't do as much to them.
You know, Mark, we had you on one of our trackside shows at Daytona back during the off-season. To my knowledge, you had maybe even never been in a car working with Alan. I think maybe you guys did a test or something. And the only thing we knew, absolutely, you were going to run the full schedule in 2009 and a partial schedule in 2010. You shut us down immediately when we started talking about championship. You said, look, I've got to see what my relationship with Alan Gustafson is going to be. Well, now that, and this happened even before 12 races, about 9 or 10 races, it became evident to you that this deal is right. So much to the fact you've already announced you're going to run a full schedule in 2010.
And I'm living a dream.
That was the answer to your other question.
I had no idea. I had no idea it could be like this. And you know, just for example, both of those wins came at great decisions by that guy. Not only giving me good enough race car, a dominant race car in Phoenix, but winning the race in Darlington was a great pit call by Alan and those guys. And for me to go to the racetrack every weekend and drive their stuff is just beyond what I expected. And I thought this was going to be a grind, and it's oh happy day every day I go to work. So you know, I'm still there about championships. I don't want to talk about it. Why should I? Let me drive this fast thing. Let's go try to win us some races, and if we score more points than everybody else, I'll take the trophy. But I'm not going to lay in bed awake at night and worry about it. I'm just happy I get to drive this stuff.
Alan, real quickly, did Mr. H mention anything to you or say anything to you about would you like to be Dale Jr.'s crew chief? Has that ever come up in a conversation?
No. Yeah, we haven't ever talked about it, and I'm glad because I love working with Mark. I love Dale. You know, Dale's a great driver, but I think me and Mark have something special. I think our team has something special, and you don't get that chance very often. And I'm really fortunate to have it, and we're going to do the best job we can do. And like Mark said, you know, it's fun to go to work. Even though we screwed up today, we know we can get it back. The race isn't over yet, so we're going to do the best job we can.
You got the best of both worlds. You got a guy that's got a lot of experience, but he's got the heart of a guy that still wants to win.
People don't understand how good he is.
I know how good he is. I've been watching him. I've been watching him.
Thank you.
Alan, Mark, thank you very much for spending some of your Friday with us. We appreciate it.
We enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Well, coming up, it's going to be Tony Stewart, and we want to remind you, don't watch the race Sunday without watching race day at 11:30 a.m. Get the latest on Dale Jr. and his new crew chief, news from NASCAR's town hall meeting, and a one-on-one with David Rudiman, Sunday, 11:30. Tony Stewart is a two-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. He comes to Dover, Delaware, second in points. Tony Stewart has been to victory lane 33 times. And Tony Stewart is the owner of Stewart Haas Racing.
I don't smoke.
You don't have a bottle of champagne
up for her?
Last time you were on here.
Doesn't matter, right?
Straight to take a shower.
If I had a slick jacket on, I'd be more
Don't
worried
give
about
him any champagne now, whatever you do.
Hey, he sprayed all that stuff out in Charlotte the other week.
Yeah, but you guys remember that was a historic landmark.
It was a
for you guys.
momentous occasion.
It really
Yeah.
was.
100th episode. I mean, that's pretty cool.
And I still got the memory of how it felt. You sitting there going, you were enjoying that
I'm
way
really
too
good
much.
at that.
I'm telling you.
Always heard if you smell like champagne, when you get on the airplane headed home, if you smell like champagne and you got confetti all over you, you've had a good day.
Yeah,
Yes,
it used to be fun because Joe Gibbs used to try to dodge us when we'd get in victory lane. He would kind of sneak off at the part where they'd start handing the bottles out. So I had two guys that were, I'd call them the thugs on the team, the bigger guys on the team. that their job was to make sure that one was on each end to where when he tried to get away, it was like goalies in hockey. Their job was to kick him back in play.
Keep him back in play.
And then he just got hosed.
I got to ask you, what did you say to my main man, David Ruderman, Monday, I guess it was now, when you went over and had that little discussion with him? Because
the same thing, apparently you've had the same talk with him, I guess,
Hey,
from what I understood.
Tony, we got a sign out here. Where's our sign? Look at the sign back there.
Oh, yeah, you did that. You did it. You made that boy famous.
I know. I actually, the best part about it was I saw him in the pits today, and he was standing by himself inside the fence in turn 1. And I came up behind him and grabbed his shoulders real quick, and he kind of flinched, and he turned around. He just grinned. I said, "Congratulations last week."
Yeah.
He goes, "Thanks for making me famous."
Oh, yeah. That was perfect.
So, no, I was telling Ruderman, I mean, the thing that, and you know this, and you guys know from having guys that are at the front of this series, I mean, you when you go and talk to these guys, and these guys are running up front, the give and take is a lot more than what some of the guys that run in the Nationwide Series a lot. And David and I had it all under control at that point. And then my bald buddy there got it right in the middle of it.
Oh, bad butt.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, "Since when did you start driving the car?" So, but it was fun. I mean, David's a great guy, and I love David. I was the first, I don't know if I was the first one, but I know as soon as they called it, I was in the trailer, and I grabbed my cell phone and sent him a text message, congratulating him.
Splitting them right there, ain't you, big boy?
I was in a hurry.
I'm telling you.
I didn't. At that point, we were sitting there and we're dodging rain cells. We didn't know. It was like get everything you could get. It was like running the All-Star race all over at that point.
Oh, I tell you right now, what was amazing, and it kind of surprised me. You guys didn't qualify that well, but all of a sudden they dropped the green flag, and here you come. You marched right up into the top 10 or just outside the top 10. Then you come down pit road, and you make a mega change in the chassis of that race car, go to the back, and here you come again. I mean, you had a fast race car that day.
Yeah, we did. It's it's been awesome. We've had fast cars all year. It's just been figuring out exactly how much is too much and how much isn't, and how much is a little when I tell Darian something. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been like watching Mark and their guys. It's been a whole learning process for us, but that's what's made it fun too. I mean, it's kind of been fun to do something different.
Tony, I ask you this a little bit out of my own curiosity, but I've had a lot of fans ask me this about Stewart-Haas Racing. It would be easy to say now, 12 races into it, to look at the performance, but realistically, honestly, when you started this deal, what were the realistic goals for 2009?
I didn't even set goals. I'll be honest. I said that every week when we came back on Monday morning, we were going to evaluate what happened during the weekend, figuring out what we did right, figuring out what we did wrong, and see what we could do better, and just literally take it 1 week at a time. And as long as we were making forward progress, I didn't care where we were at, as long as we were going forward.
So what are the goals now? Now that
Still aren't making goals.
See what you've got.
Still aren't making goals. I mean,
Keep up.
I think, keep doing what we're doing, obviously, that got us the second to points. But, I think right now, I mean, obviously, I would be crazy if I said I didn't expect and want our two cars to be in the chase at the end of the year. I think being second and seventh in the points right now, it's easy to feel like we've got a shot to be in there and deserve to be in there. I think our first 12 weeks have proven that.
Yeah. More with Tony Stewart coming up. We want to remind you about our schedule for tomorrow. Since the Camping World Truck Series race was rained out today, you'll see that coverage beginning at 5:30. Chris Voda has the setup prior to that. Nationwide Series qualifying at 10 a.m. Sprint Cup practice at 11:30, and then final practice at 12:30. More with Tony coming up.
Still raining.
Thursday, get hooked with 2 all-new episodes of Wreck, a series of dangerous rollovers, puts O'Hare to the test, and when Bill leaves town, Marcy is left to deal with the wreckage on her own. Don't miss Wreck, Life in the Crash Lane, Thursday night beginning at 10 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. And we are back with Tony Stewart. And Tony, I talked to Darian Grubb before the 600. I'm not sure which day it was, but one of the days.
Groundhog Day.
One of the 6 24-hour days we had there, I think.
He told me one of the coolest stories about winning the All-Star race was that a lot of those guys at Stewart-Haas Racing were with Haas CNC, had never been to Victory Lane. And he said, you should have seen they had a death grip on the hats and the champagne bottles. They weren't letting go of that stuff for anything.
Yeah, we had one of the guys, Sean Haggerty, which I'm going to call him out because he's got big shoulders, he'll take it anyway. But we got to Victory Lane and he gave me a big hug. And when they gave us the big champagne bottle and we got everybody done with that, he's like, I want a drink of that. And he drank it like he was dying of thirst. and so we
chugged that baby.
He puts it down. He goes, man, that tastes terrible. but he literally carried that bottle. When they pushed the car back, they said he would not turn loose of that bottle for anything, because we were going to put it in the museum, put it in the shop, and so a bunch of the guys on the team came over to the house, and we didn't get done till 6 in the morning. And I told him, I'd found out about it, and I said, hey, Sean, I said, what happened to that bottle? I acted like I was pretty upset about it. And he's like, I got it. He goes, I was just scared somebody was going to take it. He goes, I'll bring it back to the shop tomorrow if you want me to. I said, nah, you just keep that one. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That was the best part of the whole thing. I mean, that's what meant the most to me, was seeing these guys that, when I didn't even really understand it till we got to Daytona and we ran third in the shootout, and a group of guys came and said, man, that's the best we've ever run,
Haas CNC Racing, before you formed Stewart Haas, one top 5 finish in the entire time of that organization.
I wish I could say I was the reason that it's switched over like this, but it's not. I mean, I had a small part in October, November, and December were my busiest months as the car owner. And then since Bobby Hutchins and Darian Grubb and Tony Gibson and Ryan Newman have come on, it's made my life a lot easier.
Well, you got an awesome group of people that you were able to put together. But I was curious, how do you? I know in the meeting Tuesday, I think this was discussed about double line restarts, and what is your take on that? Do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing? Wish they would, wish they wouldn't. What do you think?
I love it, because there's so many places that we go that are 1 groove or 2 groove tracks that when you line up and you're the 10th car on the lead lap, you're restarting 20th with the lap cars, and those guys are fighting to get back on the lead lap on the restart, so you don't get a lot of reprieve from those guys. So I'm all for the double file restarts. I think they should still do the double file restarts, put the lap cars on the back, and still do the lucky dog, and I think it should be where whoever's first in track position, no matter whether you're 1 lap down or 3 laps down, whoever gets that track position and is the first car behind the leader when the caution comes out, that guy gets his lap back. I think that's a way for guys that cut a tire down and they get 2 laps down. If there's 10 guys 1 lap down, they never get a chance to get their lap back unless they can race that leader. But you could be the 2nd or 3rd fastest car all day and never get back on the lead lap and get a shot to get in the top 5.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there for that to really increase the excitement like we saw in the All-Star race.
The one thing I'll say about our meetings that we had there, this is my 11th year Cup Series, and I've been in NASCAR for 13 years now. And I think that meeting, those 2 meetings that they had in the morning and afternoon session, is one of the coolest things I've ever seen NASCAR do. It's hard to sit there as a sanctioning body and sit there and ask for somebody else's input when they've done it so long themselves. But I think it was probably one of the most productive things that we've done as a group in a long time. Of the sanctioning body and the owners and drivers getting together like that. I was really impressed, and I walked down to that meeting with my head up high saying, hey, I'm really, really proud to be a part of NASCAR, and the fact that we had that meeting. I thought that was something that was really productive.
That's impressive. And when we come back, Tony's going to join Jeff Hammond in the Lazy Boy Lounge. Stay with us here on Speed. Trackside Live back at the Dover International Speedway. Jeff Hammond's hanging out in the Lazy Boy Lounge with Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and Steve, Tony, I'll tell you right now, don't get real violent with that rocking, because you can fall off this stage. It ain't got the safety rail up. But, we talked
Since when have we worried about being safe in chairs?
I'm not.
We're more concerned about falling asleep.
How'd you tell me a minute ago if you're scared to say you're scared?
Exactly.
Yeah. But, a lot of things have happened this week. And earlier today, I saw you on pit road talking to Dale Jr. He's had a pretty interesting week. Did you guys talk anything about all this?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I talked to him about. I said, I wish you'd get your stuff together so we don't have to sit there and do our interviews talking about what you're doing and not doing. I mean, everybody loves Dale Jr. There's not a competitor in the garage that doesn't like Dale Jr. and doesn't respect him and what he's been through in his career. But, man, it gets frustrating sometimes. I mean, sometimes you don't know what's you get tired of going to your media sessions and spending half your time talking about what Dale Jr.'s like. It's like there's 42 other guys out there every week that are working just as hard to get their stuff right. So, it gets kind of frustrating, but, it's frustrating for him, too, and that's what he was saying. He goes, man, I wish I could change my name. I said, well, if you're going to change it to Mo Money, because you're making the Mo Money. So.
Bobby Hutchins, Darian Grubb, Tony Gibson, Brian Newman, all those guys so important to your organization. I want to ask you about one guy that's been around there a long time. Godfather, we know him as,
Eddie Jarvis.
Eddie Jarvis. I mean, when it comes to somebody who's been in Tony Stewart's corner for a number of years, the Godfather's been there.
He's like a prize fighter. I mean, he's had to go through all the battles with us and through the thick and thin. But it's kind of funny because I made him take a week off this week and told him that he had to go to Disney World with his grandkids. So I got a text message from his wife last night saying that he was in Disney.
In Disney.
In Disney.
He did listen, huh?
Oh yeah, he's on his vacation right now.
Well, another thing is, speaking of Eddie and the way things have been kind of going on, how about the fact that you are quite an enthusiast when it comes to hot rods, old cars, motorcycles, Barrett Jackson?
Yep.
I mean, I get a big kick out of when I talk to Godfather. I said, Eddie, how many cars did you buy this time? So, I mean, what is your passion when it comes to something like that?
I'll be honest. I'm not as up on, it's got this carburetor, this motor, this rear end in it. I'm very much one of those guys that I'm like, if I see it and it catches my eye and I keep having to walk back and forth, I'm going to end up with it before it's all said and done. So, but we've probably got 15 or 16 collector cars in our collection right now. But I have got squashed on the car project for a couple of years while we're building my house, and that's something I'm pretty excited about. We've got Ryan's wife, Chrissy Newman, is helping me build my log home in Indiana. They finished theirs, and now I got her talked into doing that for me. So I have to buy her a car that she wants when it's done. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's something that I can't do it on my own. I'm not smart enough to know how to do it, but she's really up on it.
Pretty excited about that, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
How much longer for it to be done?
She gave me an update a month ago and told me it's going to be 2.5 more years before it's finished. And we started in October doing the land construction on it. So it's going to be a while.
2.5 more years, folks. Can you believe that right there? But it's a good thing it didn't take that long to get this race team up and going.
I told her, I said, she asked me if I was upset with that, and I said, it's really not that big a deal because we've got the new race team, and I'm in Charlotte more than I'm in Indiana now. So I really probably won't spend as much time up there as I would like now, and I won't get to see the project going on, but they send me pictures every week and show me updates of what's going on, and I'll stay in Charlotte and worry about Stewart Haas.
Well, while he's worrying about Stewart Haas, we're going to go take a little short break, pay a few bills, and we'll be back here, Trackside Live. We're going to have more with Tony Stewart, and this time we're going to let Darrell even ask a question or two.
Trackside is presented by new Shell Nitrogen Enriched Gasolines. Brought to you in part by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Husqvarna. Master your great outdoors with Husqvarna, professionally proven outdoor power equipment. To find your nearest dealer, visit Husqvarna.com.
Next Friday night, we'll be in Pocono, Pennsylvania. 7:30 Eastern is our start time. Jeff Gordon and Casey Mears will join us.
Tony, a big week coming up at Eldora, in particular on Wednesday night, the 5th annual Prelude to the Dream. It just keeps growing, and your list of drivers keeps growing. Casey Mears told me yesterday he's been entered into it now.
Yeah, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder every year because we got a waiting list of guys that want to come run, which is the most flattering thing to me of the whole deal, just to have this many guys that want to come and be a part of this with us. But,
all-star race.
I'm telling you, it's the crews and the cars that are coming are all-stars too. I mean, they're the same teams that'll be there for the Dream this weekend and back for the World 100 in the fall. But it's got so competitive that guys are building brand new cars just for the NASCAR drivers to come run.
Yeah, but the guys from the drag racing series, Ron Capps and Petragon, they're the ones that killed me. You would think they would want anything. They wouldn't want nothing to do with dirt. But they look like they're just kids. I mean, and they're in a candy store.
Petragons grew up in California with running midgets and sprint cars. So, it wasn't just drag racing to those guys. So it's
But I saw the short track race over there at Charlotte, the dirt track race, and you started on the pole, and the 9 car started outside. And I said, well, he'll smoke him off because he did in the heat race. Boy, that 9 car came on big time in the feature.
Casey's got 2 cars in the World Outlaw Series. I've got 2 cars, and Donnie shot started on the pole, and Craig had a rough start and had to start in the back, but Donnie just got too tight, and Casey's guy won. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's something that Casey and I are both passionate about, and when one of us has a good day, the other one's the first one to call and congratulate him. So Casey's been on a roll.
Wednesday night, HBO pay-per-view, right?
Pay-per-view on HBO. Go to TonyStewartFoundation.org for more details.
Good luck. Daryl, thanks, buddy.
All right, guys.